All right, guys, we're back on Therapy is Dope with Alicia and Laura. Laura couldn't make it today, but we have Michael Selig, and I'm very excited to see how this conversation unfolds. Michael, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be talking about today?
Sure, it's an honor to be here, Alicia. Well, let's see. Most folks want to know how I got to writing Hush. So basically, I came out of, I'll give you the kind of concise version as best I can.
Sure.
I came out of the University of Arkansas with a history degree and went right into flight training for the Marines, which means going through Navy flight training. And so I was sent to Pensacola, Florida, and then eventually was selected for jet training. And that meant going on to what's called the A6 Intruder, which is an all-weather attack jet. And our squadron out of North Carolina was kind of right when I got there sent overseas, and then we were the last squadron to arrive for Operation Desert Storm in 1991. We arrived like, I don't know, January 2nd, and the conflict started January 11th. So I was basically immediately flying combat missions every night of the war. And then on top of that, I was the intelligence officer for the squadron. So I'm reading all the secure briefs that are worldwide traffic. And at that time, my missions really had nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction. It was just regular military fare, which I'm saying that calmly, but obviously it's tanks and vehicles and armament moving south, and we're attacking that to keep it from coming to Kuwait. But it had nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction. And then all my secure traffic that I'm reading every day in between missions had nothing to do with weapons of mass destruction. But then I'm eating in the officers' mess where there's a big screen TV, and that was all about we're saving the world from weapons of mass destruction. So at that moment, I was not only perplexed and confused, but I just had a sense that there's a much bigger kind of dark hand turning events of the world. None of it made sense to me as far as that. My three antenna were just not lining up. So that led to me eventually, I finished my tour as a pilot and got out and then went right to LA to begin writing because I'm a storyteller at the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, I've always been kind of a writer. So I went to do film and music in LA and began writing screenplays. I ended up writing, directing, and producing in a couple of different shows, one on Showtime called Southern Justice, which was also on Netflix, and then a current show right now on Amazon Prime, which is called The Gunrunner Billy Kane. It's a sci-fi show, a pilot. And but throughout the years of producing and writing and directing, I was researching covert events because I just wanted to uncover or kind of pull the curtain back a little bit on things just to see if I could figure out what was going on. So now you have Hush, which was a 3-year endeavor. And it's basically your covert history dealing with alien traded technologies and alien interactions with humans from about 1940 forward to about the Eisenhower era. And then right now I'm working on volume 2, which will take you forward from there. But that's what Hush is about.
Okay. Now, big question for me. Um, I'm reading currently Andy Bustamante's book, Shadow Cell, and he's telling his perspective of his time in the CIA. And I know for him, and then one of my other friends who works in intelligence recently released a sci-fi book.
Mm-hmm.
They have to get permission to publish these books. So, can you tell me about that process?
Right. So if you write something that you're trying to absolutely say is fact, you have to get permission from those three-letter agencies because you're talking about them. But if you're like me and you write it as fiction, which may be very thinly veiled facts, you don't have to. And I don't have
Oh,
any permission
okay.
from anyone, and it's released and it's out there and it's suddenly doing really well. It's become an international bestseller. So it has a lot to do with anyone who is in the alien space or in the covert space. It's pretty clear, from the reviews, like this is very thinly veiled facts, but this is maybe what your actual history is.
Now, see, that's one of my favorite things about art, though, that art can be creative in that way and still pack a big punch.
There you go.
So, I have not read your book. Please don't judge me. But I have heard rumblings that we've gotten Google Maps and Google from alien sources. So, is that the kind of stuff we're covering, or what did you come up with fictional?
Well, I mean, is your question, do I have Google Maps in the book, you mean?
No, I mean, do you know anything about whether or not that technology did come from alien sources?
I would say the majority of the technology that you're experiencing on the planet now, everything from fiber optics to AI and everything else, is all alien traded technologies that have been reverse engineered since roughly 1940, including
Okay.
including the Trinity blast, including nuclear technology. That's all from reverse engineered alien craft that we're using. I mean, they basically have nuclear reactors on board those craft. That's what powers them. That's why they're silent. So
Oh,
when you hear about,
interesting.
UFOs darting at Mach speeds in every direction and doing right angle turns and going, crazy, 30 Mach, that has to do with warping space time. And that's now that's now been reverse engineered. We have a TR-3B that is our kind of our workhorse between McCord and the Moon daily, Station D, which is Area 51 daily. So we have ships that we've had for decades because this small cabal that I talk about in the book that runs the planet, that really manipulates things. Think Blue Bloods, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, the folks who really turn the planet, all the big pharma, all the media moguls, they're all in this tiny group. And their families have run the planet for decades, and they are the ones who have, own, and control these alien traded technologies, and they are the ones who started the secret space program way back. They've been out in space for decades, and there's just volumes of evidence now, and it's now kind of coming out very quickly.
Why do you think now? Why do you think it's coming out now?
It's a good question. A number of things are occurring. One is what I call compression, which just means there's so much evidence now of alien traded technologies being on the planet. So many leaks, so many people who have dealt with it, from Bob Lazar forward to all your friends who have seen a UFO, to the Phoenix Lights with a Draconian ship, over 1,000 people with cameras, and you just can't fake that big of an event. And there's thousands of videos online of that event, and that's a completely silent ship the size of a shopping mall that's above the city of Phoenix, right? You just cannot fake it. So it's all coming right now for a number of other reasons. One of them has to do with Sophia, as I call her, or Gaia, as kind of the New Age community calls her. Our planet is literally rising in frequency, in vibrational frequency. She's kind of done with being controlled because there's been some malevolent, specifically three malevolent races that came here before we evolved. Now, this is big and it's a big story, but you can read it all in Hush. You'll get the whole download of how we started in alien interactions and transactions, and then how it evolved to where it is today. And you can get the Audible as well in case you're out doing therapy somewhere, have
Yeah.
one ear listening to Hush. But yeah, it's a complex story, but the Reader's Digest version is, it's occurring because of several major factors. And the final factor I'll say is, even though they're not the benevolent folks that are already in space, they need boots in space, so to speak. They need bodies because they can't keep cloning people and taking people out there and stealing people, basically, to fill all the seats on these battle fleets that have been in space for decades, that are now ranging ever further outward. They need, instead of boots on the ground, they need boots in space. So it's literally going to come out pretty quick. Within this year, they're going to announce we're having a regular draft for the Space Force. What they're not going to tell you is, well, yeah, maybe we've been in space for decades.
Hmm.
That's what's going to happen.
Wow, this is
Yeah.
really interesting. So I'm guessing all of this information wasn't just in the briefings that you were reading at the time. So when did you accumulate all
Right.
this
No, this has been
information?
research over many years. I mean,
Okay.
if you just look at Roswell alone, there's just volumes of information that not only was it not a weather balloon, but that there were three crashed ships with two alien races. There's enough people who have come forward, deathbed confession, saying, I was there when the one live alien was brought in and the other four were dead. And I've got some of that video footage on my Patreon site. You can watch the original contact event in front of Colonel Brashears at Roswell on July 7th, which is a Monday of 1947, where they're bringing in five litters with four dead aliens and one live one. They got six fingers,
Hmm.
six toes. You'll see the autopsy footage that I sent into Kodak to have it colorized, and it's an orange type of alien. There's grays and oranges that crash landed during that weekend, and the oranges are the ones that are on the litters, and you'll clearly see it's the same one on the litter that's dead that's in the autopsy with the huge leg gash. Like, it's all very easy to line it up and go, that's the same one from the hangar where everybody's standing around and freaking out. So I'm just saying that's one example, but then you can
Right.
take it all the way forward to 2009 and anybody can get online and look at the Phoenix lights, right? So you have all this evidence that we have had, you know, ETs in our midst for decades. And if you look deeper, if you look into the secret space program personnel, there's a new documentary out on those personnel that are coming forward.
Which
They're all
documentary?
telling, what's that?
Which one?
I think it's called Life Behind the Green Door. If you look
Oh.
up the podcast, I was on it not too long ago. I think it's Journey to the Truth with Trey and Aaron. They did the documentary. And so
Okay.
they interviewed all the secret space program personnel, women and men that have been out for 20 years and back. So they call it a 20 and back, where they were cloned without their permission, basically re-put back in their bodies. It's a pretty complicated thing, but once you start to understand it, it's not complicated. It's just technology that allows the ETs to age regress them with our kind of covert cabal that cares nothing about humanity. These are folks who want to keep the feudal system in place. Hence, you don't get to go to space, but you're paying for all of this stuff, and you'll learn all about it. I mean, and Hush covers it in detail all the way through, so you can kind of get an idea.
Well, clearly I have to get into that. I did see a documentary on Roswell, and the one thing that stood out to me was they were saying that the biologics smelled very strongly of sulfur. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they're kind of plant-based biological entities, and all of them did smell like sulfur. Both crashes with two different races. All of the reports from all of the individuals there was like it was just so excruciatingly bad that some of the folks who came forward, including a Cherokee Indian, 6'9", who his wife came forward. She said, he was so freaked out for the rest of his life because obviously he was sworn to secrecy to not speak about it under the threat of death. But he could not get the stench off of him, and then because he had to handle the bodies. And then she said, we burned his clothes, but I would see him on any given day just washing his hands, like any given day
Wow.
for the rest of his life, washing his hands, as if he could not get the visuals and the stench out of him. He just felt like they had entered him.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah, yeah.
I
His name is Roy Wallace, and he's
okay.
in Hush as well, so you'll get those stories.
Okay. I started down the alien rabbit hole when there was the first open hearing in Congress,
Hmm.
and I started looking up documents on the CIA website and things like that. And it's a little wild that all of this information is easily accessible, and yet no one seems concerned. No one seems to be outraged the way that I was. I was like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah,
What? I mean, we knew that statistically it made sense that there were other life forms and that it couldn't just be us as the only intelligent life form. Uh,
right.
but then to find out that yeah, we've known this and we've known this for years. And even when you look back at like hieroglyphics and pictures in caves, people were putting saucers and things of that nature. So obviously this goes back a lot further. How in the world was it kept so quiet?
Well, a lot of it has to do, I mean, just think about the mind control, just as an example, the Phoenix Lights. I mean, you've known about those, right? You knew about the Phoenix Lights, right?
I don't
In
think I
2009, the
don't
big
remember.
so now so this is part of the mind control. So we're talking, like I said, you can get online right now and type in Phoenix Lights on YouTube, and there is a gajillion videos of a million different people in Phoenix who filmed this huge ship over their city that's silent, right? The America, even the planet that all of us know of, doesn't have a ship like that that's silent that can do that, right?
Right.
But thousands of people saw it. One of the funny things is Kurt Russell was landing his plane in Phoenix on that night and was the first person to report it on the radio. I saw him interview not too long ago, and he was like, I got to tell you something that I just kind of now realized, because he said, I kind of went through like a missing timeout. He was with his son, taking his son to Phoenix because Kurt Russell can afford to have an airplane.
Yeah.
And he was flying himself and his son in their very expensive, I think it was a Beechcraft. And he was coming into land, and the ship was at that point over the airport. And he's like, Phoenix Center, this is, such and so beach 12641. And there's something over the airport of it was this whole conversation that went on. And then he said, I literally forgot. He said, I landed the plane and I kind of completely forgot that I had that interaction for like 5 months until somebody brought up the ship later in
Oh,
social media. He's
wow.
like, I had a whole experience. Yeah. So, but what's wild is that's that's how good the mind control is. Like, even since Roswell, where they just immediately said, oh no, it's a weather balloon and nothing happened and blah blah blah. And so humans will believe it because we're just so controlled via the media and everything else that anybody who talks about aliens is crazy. And so
Yeah.
it works to this day. You can debunk anybody by just saying, oh yeah, MDC, like, his book, it's all BS. Everything can be debunked. Well, if they say that, anybody who wants to be in the debunker camp is going to go, yeah, okay, that's all just fluff. But anybody who's researching, like you, if you want to look behind the curtain, you'll start to realize, oh my goodness, this is from a million different people seeing all of these different things, and being aware that no, this has been here. It's just very few get to know about it for a number of reasons, mainly because of control of the planet. It has a lot to do, and it's covered in hush. It's a very detailed kind of sequential series of events that you start to realize through the protagonist, like, oh, someone's controlling this because of power and control. I'll give you kind of quick Reader's Digest version. If you own all the big oil on the planet, if you're big oil, if
Mhm.
Alicia is big oil,
Yes.
are you going to allow humans to know that there's free energy?
I mean, I remember watching a Stephen Greer documentary. That's who it was. And that's what he was saying, that we have this free energy source, and that the basically the people who have the hold the purse strings don't want us to know that we can have this free energy source. Me, that's not a good question to ask me, because I'm like, yes, please, like let's live in
But
harmony
you're
and
not
peace and
stepping
not
into the shoes.
right.
You have to step into the shoes of being a Rockefeller, of living your life at the
Yeah.
very top, of traveling off world when the regular, like you're a feudal lord, when the regular people don't get to, and they're funding all of your ships that are going off planet. They're funding all of it. If you step for a moment into, a Steve Jobs at that level, you start to understand something different, which is, well, I can't stop and help like right now, if you drive by every homeless person, you're not going to help all of them. Maybe you give a sandwich from your car to one of them, but you don't stop at each one of them. And people could say, oh, let's hate on Alicia because she didn't stop at every one. But you know, as well as I do, no, once in a while you help, but a lot of times you got to drive by.
Right.
Take it to the top level, the very top level. If a few humans don't get what they want for the sake of humanity moving out into space, so be it. That's the way they look at it, right? Like
Yeah. We're
for this,
pawns.
for the super elite, we're just the homeless, and some might get to go in space and some might not, but they're out in space because they can mine other planets, because they can make more money, because they can control other planets, and you're paying for it every time you get in your car, your oil dripping jet that you're flying, like I just did off of a jet, and I'm in an airport. I'm paying all of the money for them to continuously go out in space and use the alien traded technologies that they have to even make more money on different planets, which is what they've been doing for decades. So folks who are at that level, they think at that level.
Yeah.
It's just the way the world works. That's a fact. So it's not hard to understand. It's just you don't get to know about what actually goes on.
Well, except now I guess it's all coming out. And it's interesting that you kept saying her when you were talking about Gaia because uh in one of the predictions that I've heard of what's to come, because
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people are talking about changes coming, things are shifting, something's coming. Um, they're saying that there would be a restoration of the of feminine energy, that
Mhm.
there's been an out that things haven't been
It's way
balanced.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that's part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's a huge, huge thing that's occurring right now. And, we need the women to teach men. Like, I still don't know what it means. Like, like I know I like soft clothes. And I'm like, is that part of my feminine side? Like I'm a total goon. And so we need women to literally show us more, the divine feminine. And the reality is, yes, the balance is out. The yin and the yang is not even right now. It's significantly in the masculine, and that is a major influence from the malevolent races that are here, which brought in masculine energy, knowing that if it was balanced, the groups that are here, the malevolent groups, and there's three significant ones that have been here before we even evolved, knowing we were going to evolve on the planet. You got to remember, ET races that are millions of years old and super advanced that can travel intergalactically. Can they look ahead on different timelines? Yes. They can look ahead and see that a particular race, the human Homo sapien species, is about to evolve on a planet, and they happen to be the best of the best from the benevolent races, kind of put together in a beaker experiment. When we when we step into what we are doing now, which is ourselves as love, we are multidimensional, unstoppable beings. And that's what these groups feared. And they came here to see if they could control it. It's literally flipping this year. Like they've been in control now forever. The human race still doesn't fully believe that aliens even exist. And yet they're all amongst us, in the planet, off the planet, trillions of races throughout the multiverse. We're about to be welcomed into the galactic community. That's what's occurring literally in the next few months. Like it's starting right now, but you're going to very quickly realize by the end of this year, we are in the galactic community. We are not alone. And the planet will know that.
So the other day, I went on the CIA's website and I looked up Galactic Federation. There was nothing like that.
Right.
Is that what it is, or is it similar?
So, so just think of this, just like we have a UN,
Hmm.
right, for
Yeah.
our planet, and just think of all the races, thousands of different looking humans on the planet, factions. And do we have bad factions like the Nazis? Yes, we do. Would we all consider that that's not the best representation of our race? Yes, we might say that's not the best representation of humans. Overall, we're pretty amazing, but can we do stupid things? Yeah. And do we do stupid things? Yeah. Are we generally good? We would all say, yeah, we try to be good, right? So just remember, take it to the trillionth level. That's how many races are around you. So
Wow.
it's not, it's the multiverse is your planet burst out into infinity with multiple universes all kind of combined in one, including multi-dimensional beings that are here. that participate here, and beings that have been inside the planet before humans arrived, and they consider this their planet. Hence, you have a lot of the nuclear stuff over the past 50 years where you've heard about ETs disarming nuclear
Oh, yes.
weapons.
I was going to ask you about
Now
that
you have
because,
reasons, right? It all makes sense. Like they're not going to allow their planet to be blown up by a bunch of goonheads like us who have got a firecracker that we don't know what we really have, right?
yeah,
That
yeah.
we don't know what to do with. Hence, you have benevolent ETs all around you that are kind of trying to help us. But now that this, and that's another reason because of compression, the benevolent ETs, it's like a 95 to 5% ratio. They're going to now step forward, and you're going to be welcomed into the galactic community.
Oh, well, that's 95 to 5. That's a relief. That's not so bad.
It is. It's just that the 5% are the ones that are here because of wanting to control what we're about to be, which is kind of this
Conscious.
unstoppable force of love. Yeah. I mean, when we step out as what we are, we will eventually kind of run the multiverse. Like that's what we were the Beaker experiment to be. It was all of the best benevolent races got together and said, what if we combine the DNA of about 28 of our best, and let's see what happens. So we've been an experiment. That's why so many ET races from the multiverse are here watching Gaia rise, or Sophia, watching the planet rise, the vibrational frequency, and us at the same time. She's dragging us along like mother with cubs. And when this change, which is occurring now, when critical mass is occurring, which is happening literally right now on the planet, with people going inside more instead of outside to CNN and all the crazy stuff that's the fear-based stuff on all the social platforms, the malevolent races that are here physically can't stay on the planet. The vibrational
Oh,
frequency will not allow.
interesting.
Yeah. And so that's why she's rising. She's done with it as well. She's as alive as the universe is. And what you eventually kind of realize over time from enough discussions of ET races that speak to humans, abduct humans, good and bad, the amount of information coming back from secret space program personnel is that everything around you is alive, and the ET races that are amongst us, in the planet, off the planet, all want this to happen. There's a lot of benevolent help happening right now, and compression is occurring. That's why the news is getting so crazy and bad and dark, and all of the, your scrolling sites like Instagram, it's all fear-based stuff that's every third reel, right? Whether it's animals fighting or humans fighting, it's getting crazy because the malevolent races that are here are literally on the run, including this cabal I talk about, and they're doing
Mm.
last gasp stuff to kind of hold on to humanity by seeing if they can get you to go out, like don't go into where your superpower is. They want you to just be completely disoriented so that you stay in the mind control. And so that's that. When I said it's kind of complicated, but it kind of makes sense. That's what's occurring right now.
So let's talk about that because in my rabbit hole that I went down,
Yeah.
it led me to consciousness, and I listened to a lot of near-death experiences. I listened to the telepathy tapes, um, and consciousness seems to be the big end point, I guess, for at least from my perspective. So, what was your journey with that, and how did you expand your consciousness?
So I don't know if there's so I'll answer that. There's kind of two questions there. My journey was I research everything I can on ET races, what they say, what the secret space program personnel say, what everyone says about what ET races communicate to us, right? And I will say this, you talked about there's all this stuff on the CIA that has been out there and you don't even have to drill down. But for you, if you haven't gotten on just Gaia TV, pay your $8 and watch every episode of Cosmic Disclosure, that's 3 or 4 different secret space program personnel, literally, and you can put it on high speed and just listen while you're out gardening, talking about their experiences of 20 and backs, and they're all on the same planets, dealing all with the same alien races, coming back to the planet, grabbing stuff for space, and leaving out of Diego Garcia, which is a spaceport. That's all covered in hush. I'm just saying there's and tons of information. Most of those interviews were recorded in 2020, like 7 years ago, essentially, 6 years ago. So I'm just saying that there's way more information that most people just like when I get on there and I'm like, this is all the stuff that's accurate. Randy Kramer, Emery Smith, David Adair, Rebecca Rose, Niera Isley, all of these people, male and female, they are the real deal. They have been in space and they're just telling you, I don't care whether you believe it or not. Here's what I did in the secret space program. They're on ships out in intergalactic space. I'm just saying that it's available to everyone, but no one watches it. The Phoenix Lights are available. No one even talks about it. But they want to talk about, well, Congress is going to tell us about something coming up. And that's all what I call limited hangout. When you have all of this information literally that's in hush laid out for you in on so many easy channels, I just encourage everyone like pay your $8
I got on
watch
there for
watch
something.
all 26 episodes, 26 seasons, which is like 6 episodes per season of Cosmic Disclosure. Just start with that. And
Okay.
you'll just be like, how did I not know all this? Because no one watches it. It's not advertised. The cabal keeps it down.
I did get a membership to Gaia TV at some point. I don't remember what I wanted to watch, but there
Hmm.
was something. And
Yeah.
uh then I kind of got overwhelmed though, because there's so much on there and it's all, I don't know. I guess for me it was hard to know how do you know who's legit and who isn't. And I think
I,
that's
I can promise you on Cosmic Disclosure, every one of those folks, every single one of them, all the
okay.
way until like the final episode. There's one guy who I have not vetted, but let's just put it this way: of the 9 different people that are on Cosmic Disclosure that they interview over and over and over, those are all absolutely legit, full tilt, the real folks. And now there's books about all of them. There's books that they've written. I mean, it's just tons of information that lets you know, like, no one cares if you believe it or not. And then you realize their stories overlap, and then you realize none of them knew each other in the secret space programs because they're on different ships on different planets, but they're dealing with the same races because the cabal is in cahoots with just a few of the malevolent races that they do business
Mhm.
with out in the trade routes in space. As they're expanding out, the cabal is expanding outward. Now they need bodies in space. All of these folks in the secret space program were literally stolen as children, taken through the MK Ultra programs, and then put in these space programs, and then age regressed and brought back to their little life where they didn't even know they just thought they had had a bad dream. But then what
Wow.
occurs is the mind wipe technology that the cabal uses on the Lunar Operations Command on the backside of the moon, which is a CIA run facility. It's glitching because it doesn't work well. It doesn't amalgamate well with the human biological system. So all of these individuals started having like, I'm going crazy or I've had 2 lives. They all went in for therapy. And then these stories started coming forward to where now many more secret space program personnel are now stepping forward worldwide going, I obviously was in it too because I'm having crazy split life dreams where I'm having to go to age regret or to hypnotic regression and realizing, okay, shit, I was 20, I did a 20 and back and I was on these planets and here's the super, and they just give so many details. You're like, you can't even make it up. It's just, it's
Wow.
insane. Yeah.
So that I think that was the answer to part one of the question. So
Right.
consciousness and your
Right.
journey with that,
Yeah.
what
So,
does that look
so
like?
each one of us is each consciousness, you are a frequency and a color. So each individual human literally, if you got lost anywhere in the multiverse, the ET races that are really advanced can literally find you off your frequency and your color. So let's just say I'm 254.1 to the millionth decimal, and I'm also teal.
Teal
That's
is
my
my color.
conscious a teal because I love teal. That's my consciousness, right? So before you arrive here, now I'm giving you the MD Selig take on this from all my research of what the ET races say, what the secret space program personnel say, the ET races say, and it's all consistent, which is you wrote the script before you came in. You were love. You were all connected to source. You decided I wanted to grow more as love. So I'm going to take a human body as Alicia. I'm going to take an avatar. I'm going to ride that crazy roller coaster on the surface of the earth, which is the top roller coaster to ride across the multiverse. There's more on that later. But
Yeah.
this planet is the top roller coaster of all planets. Like, that's why humans have so much potential, because it is so difficult to ride this roller coaster, because you just go through the gamut of everything, right? Super happiness to super depression and everything in between, and it never stops to the very end, right? But because of that, ET races literally, they're like humans. You guys have no idea how much you're revered in the multiverse, because the universe gives the ultimate power to those who are the most resilient, the adaptable ones,
Mm.
the ones who survive, the ones who are willing to go through the gamut, because the universe is about experience. So
Yeah.
you as a consciousness, according to everything that I understand, decided, you as consciousness, you're still love, you're still all one with us. But even when we're all, let's say we're all our avatars died for right now, and we're back to just
Our
consciousness,
color. Yeah.
or back to just love, right? We're all combined as love, because we always are. But within that love spectrum, within the great love that we are all as one being, you still have individual consciousnesses. So my 226 billionth antile is me. I'm in the pool of love, right? And then I decide, no, I want to, love wants to always understand and grow more. That's what the universe is about, is kind of looking back at itself. How can I grow more? So avatars, or consciousnesses, I should say, pick another avatar, and you may be running several in this moment. They say
Mm.
you can be running up to 1 million,
Oh,
because you're just
wow.
love. You're just love. And what occurs as you go through this roller coaster and being deceived and everything else, and then going through the 5 stages of grief, like, oh my gosh, I have been deceived my entire life. And then you go through that, which I, what I go through a lot. And then you come to grips with it, and then you understand it and you process it. And then love grows, right? Because your vertical learning curve occurs with that crazy roller coaster ride. And you know that when the roller coaster ride gets more mellow and feels a little easier, you're not learning as steeply, right? Because you learn when your heart gets broken. You learn when you're just super happy. You learn when you're around kids, when it's innocence, right? Because it's extreme. And so the the volatility is where you grow your most as love. But as an avatar, you have to mellow it out some to get through it, right?
Oh, yeah.
But that's what I understand about consciousness. So, and having said that, your capabilities as a multi-dimensional being, meaning psychic powers, remote viewing, you want to move stuff with your mind, it's all available and has been available. But because we haven't gone to this big gym in our heart, this big garden, right? Because we haven't grown this thing as we should have, because we forgot. We didn't realize we were all about here. So as you switch this now and you start stepping forward with a big open heart, just let your brain be the decoder of what this is getting. You're also very quickly going to realize, because this has been happening for me for the last 5 years, because I've just dropped into heavy meditation, not from here, but from
Okay.
here. Initially, I was starting here, and I just had monkey mind all the time. I'm like, this is, this is frivolous for me to do this. But then something along the way, some Rumi poetry or whatever, told me to switch to this. When I switched to this, it was so much easier to get quiet and calm and just allow the brain to just decode what the heart knows already and sees, and it changed everything. And as humans do that, this critical mass is reached, and then the planet's moving and we're moving with her. So it's a really exciting time, but it's a time for shows like this to let people know, like, turn off CNN, turn off all of your scrolling, get away from technology. That's what they want you to do. They want you to spin out there and stay in your head and never get down to where your unspeakable contentment lies, and all of your juice, everything that needs to be known for you in all of lifetimes is already there. It's already accessible to you. You just have to take 5 minutes, turn off your technology, light a little sage, open this big orchard, and then see what's there. And all everything you've ever wanted and beyond, it's unspeakable, is already here in all of us, right?
Right. There's so many formulas and there's so many suggestions by gurus and there's things you can buy and I've looked into the Monroe Institute and
Mm-hmm.
you can pay to go and have these
Yep.
experiences. But it sounds like what you're telling me is that you just got quiet with your heart.
Yeah.
And that sounds free.
Not only is it free, but you'll find, because I know the Maroon. I look, all of the spiritual masters. If you look back through them, Amanda Myanmar, I mean, Rumi, Buddha, Jesus, male or female, it doesn't matter. What are they all saying? They're all just saying the kingdom or queendom of heaven is within. They've all been saying the same thing forever. They've all been saying what you already know when you step forward with this, right? It's all here. It's everything that you want. Like Rumi says, when you're in the space of you as love, when you're in your orchard, when you open the orchard where the heart becomes free, you're never so content, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in that, which you can experience every day, and sometimes for me it's several times a day, but I always start off with at least 5 minutes. I just tell myself 5 minutes because everyone's on the toilet at least 5 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes, right? Like
Yeah.
we all do at least 5 minutes in the
You're
toilet. So I'm
right.
like,
Yeah.
well, if I can do 5 minutes on the toilet, I can at least give myself, I'm going to walk into my heart orchard, so to speak, and I'm going to see what's there. I'm just going to get quiet from my heart. I'm not going to try to overthink it. I'm just going to open my heart and listen and let this decode it. And what I find is not only does it get really quiet and calm, but then I also sense I'm inside of source. I am source, but I'm inside of source, right? I am love, but I'm inside of love. Like I'm just a fractal of all of it, right? We're all just kind of one being in that space. And that I find is so unspeakably beyond any type of wanting at that point. There's no desire. And I would, tell you, like, try to have no desire in that space. Don't expect something to happen. And that's what's great. Like, don't expect anything to happen. Just open your heart, let it be simple, and just watch what happens.
Wow.
You can't speak about it. It's too much. It's too much good. It's yeah.
That's what I heard in all of the near-death experiences. And that I wasn't even interested necessarily in near-death experiences. They just started appearing on my algorithm, I guess you could say.
Right.
And then because I watched one, more kept coming. And there was everybody's story was a little bit different, but there was
Right.
also similarities. And a lot of what you're describing is exactly what they say, that
Yeah.
first of all, once they realize that they're gone from this experience, because they have to realize that, which I thought was interesting too. They would feel like they were home. They would say like, "Oh, okay, I'm home. That I remember now," like you were saying. And then they would say, at some point in their journey, that they would feel this unconditional love. And it was so intense and so powerful that they can't even describe it. And then they would have this knowing and this understanding of like everything that's happening and has happened and will happen. And they would say the language that I've heard used is like it was like a download. Like I understand, now I get it. And then also, another interesting part of it from my perspective was that when people chose to come back because that was part of their contract or whatever that they decided they would do, they would have gifts like being a psychic or um, some other kind of gift, the spiritual gift. And they would also describe that they could go back to this place in their meditation. And what you're saying is we don't have to die to do that. We can have
Absolutely
that
not. Yeah, you can
experience.
step forward right now. And as you get quiet in the heart space, you absolutely don't need to have a near-death experience. Just remember, each soul awakens slowly, right? We all evolve at different paces. There is no spiritual guru here. Nobody. We all have the same access. It's just a function of remembering what you already were, what you already are, where you came from. You just came from love. When the avatar dies, you just return to love, but you don't go anywhere. You're still your digital number and your teal, right? You're still here as consciousness. You're just back in the pool of love if you decide to leave this avatar. But you don't go anywhere. There's no, it's just another adventure without the avatar. The avatar has a lot of emotions and things that makes you ride the roller coaster. But it's like Rumi says, this we have now is not when he's talking about being in the love state. There's his most famous poem is basically called This. And he says, this is this we have now is not imagination. This is not grief or joy, not a judging state, an elation or sadness. Those come and go. This is the presence that doesn't.
Wow.
And he's just saying it's always, always available to everyone. It's just a function of stepping into that big heart space and going, wow, don't expect anything and just be in it. And I can tell you that for everyone that I know, there are just molecular changes that start occurring. You start walking differently through life if you just start your day out 5 minutes, right? And 5 minutes for me often becomes an hour where
Wow.
I'm because you're never
You're
so
just
content. You're just in a
basking in it.
space, you're not expecting anything, but when you're basking in it, there's so much information coming in, but on such a sublime level, like you're calm and you're content, but you just realize, uh, like it's unspeakable. I can't really say or define what it is, but everyone knows when they're home, and
Ah.
everyone can be home every day throughout the day. Is what I choose now. Yeah. And now as I'm walking and as I'm driving, I'm choosing to be home. And I'm stepping out psychically. Stepping out with, I'm taking a telekinesis lesson next week with a woman who's really amazing. And I met her through the podcast series, but um, everything is like a gym, right? Like if you go to your quiet space, to your orchard each morning, just like you go to the gym, you start to tweak muscles at the gym, right? You learn how to tweak the weights and you learn how to tweak the way you do things and you get better at it and you're really good and you could teach somebody who came into the gym. The same thing holds true with all of your multi-dimensional powers. You have to show up. You have to try psionics. You have to try telekinesis. You have to try and experiment with remote viewing and you get better at it. Even I do it and I get better at it the more I do it. It's all of our powers. Had we been taught of what we were since we were babies, since kindergarten, if we'd have had a class on psionics when we were two, like everybody's going to try to, see what's behind the card here with your brains. Okay, let's try that. We would be where there are many folks today who literally can be blindfolded 20 different ways and there'll be someone behind them holding up a black triangle and they'll go black triangle and they'll hold up a book and go, okay, that's grapes of wrath, and they can't see anything. And there's a woman online right now, a African American woman on one of the big podcasts, and they have got her covered and stuff, like there's no way. And then they're standing behind her and they're just picking up book after book and she's like, okay, grapes of wrath, she's just naming every book they raise and they're just grabbing, and you're like, that's psionics.
Yeah.
All of us, every one of us has that capability and have always had that capability. It's a function of just remembering who we are. And then you get to decide in that realm what am I going to do now? I can do anything I want. And manifestation is the number one thing. If you want to manifest something different for tomorrow, you have that power too.
So I went to, I don't know if you've heard of it, the Psy Games in August of last year.
Oh no, sounds fun.
It was really cool. And they did a mind sight thing like you were just describing. Um, and it was a mom of a child from the telepathy tapes. So afterwards, I was talking to some people at I kept calling it a conference, but whatever you want to call it. And I said, do you think that she has special abilities like her daughter? Like, do you think that's why she was able to do this like so well? And they said, the people I was talking to said, no, I think that she believes because she sees it every day, so she knows what we're capable of. And I thought, wow, is it just that easy that you just believe and then you can just do this stuff?
Well, it's that and going to the gym. You don't go into the gym your first day and, run the 50-second, 500 or whatever it is. The point is that just like with remote viewing, you can learn it day by day and you get better. And the ones who have been doing it daily for years are the ones that everybody goes to for the big events where they want to really know something, and they'll pay them for it because they're that good now. That's all they do. They have tweaked a particular psychic ability. But your your multidimensional capabilities, uh, it's beyond speech. You can travel
Thomas
multidimensional.
Campbell was talking about that.
You
He
can
was at the
completely
Sci
do
Games.
literally beyond what your imagination, because right now you've been told you're nothing but a human, you're primitive, you're this, that, and the other, and you're not, and you never were. It's just we've been basically browbeaten
Conditioned.
since
Yeah.
we evolved on the planet. But that's why everything is occurring right now. Within the next 3 or 4 months, you're going to have significant changes occurring. But people are now realizing, oh my, we're literally whatever we want to be. And as we get together,
We're
the
even more
force
powerful.
of what we are as love is literally completely affecting the entire multiverse. That's why all of the ET groups are here watching this unfold, because they know what's occurring, like this magic that's occurring right now.
Wow. So I have a perhaps dumb question. So early in
I
our
like it the
talk,
way you ask it.
thank
it's
you.
so it's so humble.
Earlier you were saying that we have our nuclear technology because it's been shared with us. Is it, and then you also mentioned that when we've had interference, and this is, well shared that we've had
Yeah.
interference when, even when they're just doing drills, there's been interference. So is it one group that gave us the technology and another group that's stopping us from using it? Like, why did they give it to us if they don't want us to use it?
Well, so I cover that in Hush, and it's a little bit complicated, but the
Okay.
Reader's Digest version is every species, like humans, like races within humanity, Israelis, Palestinians, Americans, Canadians, everybody has an agenda. They want to further what their particular goals are, including factions, right? Same with ET races. So the malevolent ET races wanted something pretty dark, and I cover that in the book, in
Okay.
exchange for technology. They knew that the American cabal, not the American cabal, the cabal, which is above all governments, they knew the Blue Bloods and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers would trade for technology, which would allow these malevolent groups, the Draco reptilians, the Greys, and the Blondes specifically, to control humanity, essentially. But in doing so, they were breaking the Prime Directive. So that's a whole nother kind
Mm,
of thing. But the Prime Directive essentially says you cannot go to any race on any planet and evolve them with your technology. Every group, every ET race, including the malevolent ETs, they physically have to sign a contract.
Mm,
In the multiverse, every group says it will not advance. If you, it's just like us finding a very primitive tribe in the jungles of Burma. We cannot go in there and just say, here's an iPhone. We can't do it. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to allow them to evolve on their own,
mm.
right? That's the prime directive. But what happened is with the malevolent groups, which are like the Draco reptilians are known as like planet conquering hordes. They've done this on many worlds. They're willing to break the prime directive
Mm.
because they want to control us before we become bigger than them, before we become more powerful than they are. They're kind of known as the thugs of the multiverse, and they are feared everywhere. They are a very sinister race that also happens to like the taste of humans. So
Mm.
there's another level to them, but that's just one of the many things that they do. But there's an agenda for all of these malevolent races, including the benevolent races. So
Ooh,
it's as
interesting.
complicated as humanity is on the planet, the
Okay.
factions and everything else, but it's not so complicated that you can't understand it. You just have to realize the multiverse is as complex as our planet is. It's
Yeah,
just
that
more
makes
races
sense.
on more planets, and there's trade routes in space, and there have been for millennia, for millions of years, and species and civilizations travel and have traveled intergalactically forever. And we're a very young primitive race, but it doesn't mean anything when you put it in perspective of ET races will be the first to tell you, like, it ain't the technology. It ain't what you can do. It's not how fast you can fly or your cool machines or your big weapons. This is what a lot of ET races don't have.
Mm.
They just don't have it. They don't have any emotions whatsoever. They don't have the complexity of what humans bring. They are not capable of what we are capable of. Hence why the bad ones are here to control us before we get unleashed, which is occurring, whether they wanted it to or not. They kind of picked the wrong target.
Mm.
And
So,
by the way,
okay.
just so you know, Alicia, I just got a low battery warning.
Oh no.
I can probably go for a little bit longer here, but my plug here at the airport, even though it's plugged in, hold on, give me one split second. Let me just
Okay.
see if I maybe it just became unplugged because it is plugged into the outlet here, but maybe I'm just not getting maybe the
I will
cord.
just ask one last question then.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the favorite place that you remote view or that you have remote?
Well, so remember with remote viewing, you're taking a target that you don't choose, right? So what
Ah,
happens is
someone's
you're
giving it to
given a
you.
so you're given a number. So if you get on like farsightprime.com, I highly recommend that you take the lesson first. Yeah, I'm not getting power for whatever reason. It's just not it's not showing up on this thing that I'm plugged into. Um, but the point is that you'll be given a target like 36541, and then you're supposed to use your procedures that you've learned from their 1 hour lesson to then remote view. And then at the very end, you can do a target reveal where they'll say, okay, do you want to see what you remote viewed? And then I've noticed that even after just 3 times of doing it, on my third one, I'm actually drawing the roughly the building that's there.
Wow.
Right. And everyone, some people, it literally is kind of like, how we all come in with some of our antennas are just better in certain
Right.
areas that we just like.
Right.
Some people are a little more psycho, some people are better at laughing. Some people are, everybody has their things, right? There are, take 10 of us, there's going to be one of us that just steps forward as an early mover and shaker in the remote viewing field. Um, I do it once in a while, but what I'm going to step into is telekinesis. So the next time you see me, I'm going to move the thing on your desk.
Oh, okay,
From
cool.
here, I'm going to go, ready? Okay, watch it. And it's going to
Yeah.
go, that's my goal. I want to start instead. I like remote viewing and it's awesome. And I do use remote viewers when I'm working on, the volume 2 right now. I use them for covert events and things like that. But I've just learned, like, I can remote view all I want, I'm not getting anywhere close to the folks who do it every day, all day, and get paid for it. They're
I
just
see.
that good. They've just tweaked those psychic abilities to where they're like, I see several buildings and I'm feeling this energy and it smells like this, and you're like, oh yeah. And then once you watch like the Dick Algeirs and the Daz Smith of the world, you're like, and they're in two separate places being tasked with the same target, and they're seeing exactly the same things.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, these guys are next level. And there's 20 people on the planet who are that way, who are that level where you're just like, okay, task any one of them with something you want to know, and you're getting everything that's there. They're reliving whatever you want to know about.
Okay.
And
All right. Well, I have heard that from some other people too that
yeah, get on
okay.
farsightprime.com. Pay the subscription. 9/11's on there. The Kennedy assassination, Operation High Jump, which has to do with our original transactions with ETs back in the Forrestal Truman era when we got trounced by the Nazis after World War II, who were using alien ships. It's called Operation High Jump. Make sure you watch that one.
Okay.
You might want to read Hush first to understand what it's
I
about.
clearly have to.
Yeah, or get the Audible. You'll enjoy the Audible just because you'll get some of the actual radio calls that are in there that
Oh,
I've put in the
cool.
actual radio calls from the missing Malaysian jet, which had to do with alien traded technologies. So so that's why I'm saying if you get the Audible, you'll get to hear the actual radio calls, whereas in the
Okay.
book you're just reading them.
I'm down for the Audible. Okay, one more question. I don't know
Yeah,
if we have time. We'll see if your
yeah,
laptop
we'll
makes it.
try it.
Have you had any out of body experiences?
I haven't had an out of body experience, but I do have a committee that kind of directs me.
Okay.
And I just had this occur again with my assistant, Lincoln, who he has known about this because I've talked to him about it. I'm like, I've been writing screenplays forever, but when I wrote Hush, the stuff that was occurring so fast and the stuff that was coming to me and where I was being directed, like, go over there and then go over there, you're going to want to talk to her and then you need to talk to him. And the stuff that was coming was exactly what I was looking for, whereas normally it takes me months and months. I was getting such an overload of all of the information I needed for the novel. But what's wild is, and I was telling Lincoln at the time when I was finishing the novel, like, all I can say is I feel like there's a committee that wants this out. And then the way it became an international bestseller right away, and all these podcasts that I'm on, like, I'm not doing this. I'm a good writer. I can write. I'm known to be a pretty good writer, but the level that this thing is doing its thing and what came, all I can say is there's a committee behind it that directs me. And 2 days ago on a podcast, I'm now volume two will cover some of 9/11. 2 days ago on a podcast, Lincoln knows this. My assistant knows what I'm working on. And the woman, without me asking anything, just started going off on her experience as a news producer on the day of the 9/11 attacks. And what came out,
Oh,
I just looked at the other computer because Lincoln was watching me from the other computer. And I just looked at him like, you're hearing this? And she went on and on. And I said, let's talk a little bit more. And I'm looking at him because it's literally a day before when I told him there's a couple other aspects I need to understand. And after I got up, I said, how was that? And he's like, I'm spooked. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way they work. It's wild. It's
wow.
spooked in a good way. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I now understand that you don't have to physically see this force that is here with us, that's helping this transition. I mean, you can, at the end of the day, if you got this, seeing ET, shaking their hands, all that, at some point you're going to meet them, just like you've reached out and touched a dolphin, or just like, I mean, they're all living forms. ETs are no different, and they're certainly not above you, even if they have technology that's far beyond some of your comprehension right now. We're using it already.
Yeah.
But all that technology, all the space travel, all the different planets, which are amazing, and you're going to travel to them, you already have that capability. That's what's amazing.
It is. It
Without
is.
any technology whatsoever, you have the ability to literally travel the multiverse It's
Yeah.
that's how powerful you are.
That's what Thomas Campbell's message was, which he was at the Psy Games, and he was explaining that I guess for him, out of body experiences were one of those antennas that was just a little stronger. So he's been all
I
kinds of
will say
places.
this to kind of
Okay.
answer your question.
Okay.
When I get into my super certain day heart spaces, because I can always get there now. But on certain days, it's so quiet and that you realize you're not in your avatar, that you're in you're in love. You're so you could say, I mean, you have no sense of your body. Let's just put it that way. So yes, you could say it's out of body. See, it gets me when I talk because
It gets
even as I
everybody.
talk about it, this it's like a window opens. And when you're first doing it, it just goes like that, and you go, what was that? Like it takes your breath away, right? But then you go the next day and the window opens a little more. And then by the fifth day, it just opens. And you're in this space, right? Where you're kind of overwhelmed, but you also realize, fuck, I'm home.
I mean, my eyes are getting watery, so
Right?
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like uh when you talk about have you had an out of body experience, I think anybody who accesses this place where you're certainly not in your body in those moments. You're and you're not anywhere. You're everywhere. You're love. You know, you're just literally you're back with source as source. You are everything, but it's like it's unspeakable, right? It's just but you're not in your body. You're not in your physical avatar anymore. Rumi has a poem where he says, head unaware of feet, feet unaware of head. You enter again suddenly, and I'm nowhere, lost in the majesty.
ooh, that's so
Isn't that cool?
beautiful. Yeah,
But that's what his experience is, which is the same as me or anybody else. You'll have the same experience. It's just you'll have that momentary flash after it's over where you're like, oh yeah, I was nowhere and everywhere. I certainly was not in a body,
that's awesome.
you know. So that I mean, that's the cool thing is that all of these things that everybody wants, these out of body, these alien experiences, the high tech, the going to different places, it all pales
In
in
comparison.
comparison to just realizing you're at home and it's always been there. It's just a function of getting quiet and you're good to go. It's and you can literally do it anywhere. It's unbelievable.
Wow. Well, I am excited to continue my explorations on all of these things, and thank you so
Sure.
much for your
Oh, it's
time
been
today.
such an honor, Alicia. So it's been great.
I very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope you have safe travels wherever you're going, and we will be getting on the Hush game for sure.
Okay.
I look
Yeah,
forward to,
and then you'll have a whole slew of other questions once
I'm
you get through
sure.
the book, because then you'll be kind of up to speed where we are, and then you'll be like, okay, I still don't understand this or that, and then maybe I can answer it, maybe I can't, but now you got this to answer.
Yes, that's true. Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you very much. Happy travels, and
Yeah, have an amazing day.
thank you. You too.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.